What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Post Hype. I'm your host, MJ. Now look, there has been so much movie-related news released in the last 24 hours, it's almost hard to wrap your head around, but I did find a few key stories that I thought would be interesting to discuss in today's video, such as which direction AMC is going to be taking The Walking Dead's follow-up series now that the final season has finally come to a close, and some information regarding Marvel's Blade movie that's in production, and some major course correction that's going to be happening to that film. Unfortunately, we also have a sad story to discuss today, also involving Marvel, but before we get into any of that, if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button as well as hitting subscribe, it really helps us out over here at the channel and it is much appreciated. But without further ado, let's jump into our first article of the day, which is going to be a poster released by Dolby of Avatar: The Way of Water. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this poster, but I'm going to throw it up on screen right here. I love this image. I was not the biggest fan of the first Avatar movie. Obviously, the special effects were just top-notch for the time, but the story was lackluster. And I think with 10 plus years in retrospect now, everybody has kind of come to that conclusion, but that was a very debated topic when the movie first released. However, even after a decade plus, James Cameron still has me excited for the sequel movie, because look at this picture right here. I don't know if they're facial tattoos or face paint or what it is, but the markings that the Na'vi have on them in this picture just add so much depth and so much value to the characters that it really has me interested in that alone. I also love all the accessories that they're wearing. They have such a tribal look to them, and I love that for this planet and for the people of Pandora. Now, I don't know about you guys. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you like this revamped look? Does it kind of catch you off guard because that's not exactly how I remember them looking in the first movie? Or does it, like me, get you even more excited and more invested to where this story is going to take us? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, so make sure to let us know. But let's jump into our second story, which is going to be that follow-up series from AMC of The Walking Dead. It is The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. Now, we have an article here from comicbook.com. It's by Cameron Bonomolo, and it's titled The Walking Dead Spin-Off First Look: Daryl Dixon in France. A little further on in the article, he goes on to say, a new show in a new country means a new style for Daryl Dixon. AMC has released the first look at Norman Reedus in The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, which finds the crossbow-wielding survivor overseas in Paris, France. Now, that right there alone has me glued to my seat. I am ready to watch The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. If he's gonna be in France, I cannot imagine the stories that they're going to be able to tell, and that is exactly the new fresh blood that I feel like The Walking Dead needs. Now, me personally, I stopped watching about after season 4 or season 5 when the governor made his comeback, and then they went to Terminus, I think the place was called. Everything just felt so rinse, wash, repeat. Everything was the same. The group travels to a new area. The new area has people that they trust. The people betray them, blah, blah, blah. You guys know how The Walking Dead goes. Now, I did read the comic book in full before that, and I think that is part of the reason why I lost interest, because the way the comic book was written and the way the story was laid out was so much more interesting and engaging to me that the show just fell off, in my opinion. It was mid, to say, you know, as the kids say. No, I'm just kidding. But but to go on a little bit further in the article, it goes, gone is Daryl's traditional sleeveless vest look, replaced by a Parisian scarf, and his bike replaced by a horse-drawn carriage. We go on to see some pictures and first looks of the series itself. Now, this first picture, I don't know exactly what's going on, but it looks like Daryl is obviously kidnapped by somebody. He's recently been blindfolded, and that blindfold was taken off of him, and maybe he's on his knees in front of their leader. That's usually how this thing goes. But now that the story is going to be in France, I'm wondering who these people are. Are they just French people who have kidnapped him? And the horse and carriage obviously is going to be taking place in France, because if this man was still in America, you know Daryl's riding that motorcycle. However, the article goes on to say, picking up sometime after the final episode of The Walking Dead, the spin-off starts with the question, how does Daryl Dixon end up in France? Norman Reedus says, somehow I get put there, and I don't get there on my own free will. Now, that leads me to believe that maybe Daryl was traveling somewhere up north towards Canada, and obviously in the Quebec area, they speak French. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe those people from Quebec have ties with the French, and they're traveling back and forth. They found a way to go between countries. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my theory at least, because if he wasn't brought there of his own free will, he had to be kidnapped, and I think the only people who would bring him to France would maybe be people from Quebec. I don't know. You guys tell me if I'm crazy down in the comments below, but that's going to be the end of that. Let's go ahead and jump into our third story of the day, which unfortunately is going to be some sad news. Now, here we have an article from IGN by Ryan Leston. It's titled, Chris Hemsworth is taking a break from acting following Alzheimer's revelation. Now, me personally, my grandfather passed away 7-8 years ago from Alzheimer's, so this one hits pretty close to home for me, and I can totally understand where Chris Hemsworth is coming from. If anybody out there feels like he's being selfish or whatever opinion you could have that's not being 100% understanding of his situation and the time that he wants to spend with his family, honestly, you're the scum of the earth in my opinion, and I don't want you watching our videos over here at Post Hype. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at this and dive a little bit deeper into it anyways. The article goes on to say, Thor Love and Thunder star Chris Hemsworth is taking a break from acting. A recent episode of Limitless revealed that Hemsworth is genetically predisposed to develop Alzheimer's disease. Essentially, his genetic makeup includes 2 copies of the APOE4 gene, one from his mother and another from his father. This combination reportedly leads to an increased Alzheimer's risk. Now, this is just the saddest news, not because we are going to not be getting Thor or any other movies like Extraction from Chris Hemsworth, but because of the toll that this is going to take on him and his family and the constant fear that he's going to have to live in wondering if this disease will come towards him. I wish we had more medical developments to cure Alzheimer's, and I wish there was more people focused on this, but unfortunately there isn't. And I feel for Chris Hemsworth in this situation. This is just so sad. Let's go a little further down in the article. It goes on to say, the Marvel star will be taking a break for a short while after the experience of filming the series forced him to confront his own mortality in a number of ways. It really triggered something in me to want to take some time off, he explained. And since we finished the show, I've been contemplating the things I was already contracted to do. Now, when I finish this tour this week, I'm going home and I'm going to have a good chunk of time off and just simplify. Be with the kids, be with the wife. Now, to me, I hope those contracts that he's already in deals with, let him go. I mean, if this man doesn't want to act anymore and he just wants to take all this time to spend all these valuable, precious moments with his family, Disney, Marvel, anybody else, please let this man do that. In my opinion, that is evil. I mean, as much as the fans want to see Thor, it doesn't matter, man. Real life comes first and this entertainment comes second. I know we all get wrapped up in this world and the sphere of the drama and all of the chaos and the filming and the blog posts and everything, but when it comes down to it, when it's real like this man deserves to spend that time with his family. And really, that's all I have to say on this. I wish Chris Hemsworth and his family the best, and I'm so sorry that this has happened to him. Anyways, on a lighter note, let's jump into our final story of the day. This one from The Hollywood Reporter, an article by Boris Kitt. It is titled, Marvel's Blade finds new director with Lovecraft Country helmer Jan de Mange. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have no idea who Jan de Mange is. I've never seen Lovecraft Country, unfortunately. I have heard great things, but I'm not sure whether to think it's a good move or a bad move. It is kind of scary to me that we've already heard so much about Blade and they already had a director in the seat, but now everything is being course corrected and we have a new director and writer. It goes on to say, Marvel Studios' Blade is being unsheathed once more, this time with a whole new creative team. Jan de Mange, who directed the pilot of HBO's boundary-pushing horror series Lovecraft Country, has come aboard to helm the vampire action thriller that still has Mahershala Ali attached to star. Meanwhile, Michael Starberry, who earned an Emmy nomination for penning an episode of Ava DuVernay's drama When They See Us, has been hired to pen a brand new script for the feature. Now, we also have a tweet from Michael Starberry himself. It says, I'm lucky to be working with an amazing, incredibly smart team. I know there are a lot of Blade fans out there, and we are going to do our best to give you a movie that you will love. Let's get it. Now, I love that energy from Michael, so I'm super excited. I've never seen either of their works and I don't know what to think, but the enthusiasm seems to be pouring out of them through this script right here or through this article and these tweets. But if we go a little bit further into the article, it says the new team puts the project back on track after losing its original director Bassam Tariq in September. The parting ways was due to creative differences and occurred suddenly as the project was in pre-production and heading heading towards a November production start in Atlanta. So that's what I was talking about right there. We are already in November now, and the movie was supposed to reach regular production where they've scrapped everything and they are now in pre-production again. But I think a little further in the article, it might be a sign for the better. Rather than jamming another director in something that clearly needed an overhaul, Marvel pressed pause for a deeper look under the hood. That meant a page 1 rewrite for the project, which had labored in the screenwriting phase. Ali was personally involved in selecting the writer, according to sources, and details are being kept under wraps. But sources say that the new intent is for Blade to have a dark and gritty tone, falling on the edgier side of Marvel fare, and maybe even find common shading with the fondly remembered Blade movies made in the early 2000s by New Line Cinema. Now look, I don't know if this is about the Werewolf at Night release on Disney Plus and the great reception that had that maybe had this course correction take place, but whatever it is, I am glad, because a Blade movie needs to be dark and gritty and edgy. We cannot have that Iron Man Tony Stark sense of humor in this Blade movie, and I know it's going to be infused into it because it's Marvel, because it's Disney, but I am glad that we're slowly seeing Disney take more chances here and there with these projects that they're releasing. And Blade has so much hype and so much excitement around it that if you're gonna take a chance on anything, this is gonna be the one that you have to take a chance on that pleases the fans. You can't do something cookie cutter and by the numbers. This one has to be a risk, but that will be worth it because the fans want it at the end of the day. Now, it goes on to say, the plan is to go into production in Atlanta in 2023, maintaining Blade's release date that is set for September 6, 2024. However, that makes me a little worried because I don't want to rush the pre-production and production stage just to meet that release date. If they have to push it back, they should push it back. I'm sure they'll do their test screenings and they'll see everything like they always do. But if we need a little more time on this project, I think it deserves it, because Blade was the very first Marvel movie to pop off. It was the very first black superhero character we got on the big screen. And this is something you have to get right. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, Blade is one of the best comic book superhero movies, if not solely for the purpose that it is what rocketed the whole superhero genre into the film industry. So that's all we have for today. If you guys have anything you want to say about any of the stories that we touched on in today's video, make sure to leave a comment down below. I'm going to be reading through them all, as I always do, even if there's only one or two. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been MJ with Post Hype. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you around next time. Peace out.